Hi everyone, this is Mike Griffin, and today I want to talk to you about caravanning. Now, when you take these big caravans with big companies like Fantasy Tours or other companies like it, you spend a lot of money. But it's a lot of fun sometimes to put together your own caravans, and we've done that several times. It's a lot of fun because you go with your friends and you go with a lot of people that you know. So, there's a lot of things to do to put together one of these caravans, and once you do, you realize why you spend so much money for every time you want to go out and do one of these things. Now, I've written up some tips here, and what I'm going to do is share some of these tips for you of things we do when we put together our own private caravans. We enjoy traveling with friends, and it's a lot of fun because everybody can share in the trip and everybody can share in the planning. There's a lot to do when you put one together because you have to plan everything from the route you take to the campgrounds to everything else that you do. We're going to start here first by talking about what is a caravan. Now, a lot of people confuse, newbies especially, confuse caravans and rallies. What's the difference? A caravan basically is when you're going to travel together. A rally is where you meet somewhere. And a caravan can be 2 or more RVs. Now, we typically like to keep our caravans, our personal ones, at about 10 coaches. That's pretty manageable. When you get into more coaches than that, like you see in larger caravans that some of these commercial places do, you'll find that it becomes very unmanageable and very difficult to get campground reservations. One of the benefits of actually getting together and putting your own caravan together might be that you could get some discounts at some parks. But nowadays, with the parks being as full as they are, you may find that you can't get those discounts as often as you'd like to. You know, when you plan a caravan, the first thing you might want to do is decide that what trip you want to make, obviously. And usually this happens with a couple of people in your group. Like you and a friend might say, hey, let's plan this caravan, and we want to go and take several of our friends, and we're going to go to the Northwest. And if you're going to go to the Northwest, you might decide where you want to go, generally what you'd like to see, and then you will go and invite some of your friends to go and see if they all want to join in and if the dates all match up with everyone. When you do that, you'll sit down and start planning your caravan. You may want someone to help. You certainly may want everybody in the group to share and to share in the planning. To this end, what we do is I've created a spreadsheet that we track all our reservations, and because there are some detail to show you in that spreadsheet, if you'd like to use it, I'm going to have a second video that's going to be published at the same time as this one that will describe how to use that spreadsheet and how to use it to track your reservations for your own personal caravan. But here are some of the big tips that I'd like to share with you to plan the caravan. And these are things you do probably in about the order that you do them. First of all, you want to decide the major destinations that you want to go see. If you're going to go out west, you might say, or to the Northwest, you might say on the way we want to stop at Yellowstone. We want to stop at Mount Rushmore. We want to go somewhere in Utah and see Zion, or go see Bryce Canyon, or whatever you'd like to go see. But you decide what your major stops are first. Then you're going to want to choose the duration of the trip. Now, a lot of people going on personal caravans like this will not want to be gone for more than maybe a couple of months. We've done them for up to 3 months, and typically we found that anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months is pretty good for a personal caravan. But if you're going a long distance, it may not be a good idea to try to rush it. You don't want to be going 1 night, 2 nights, 1 night, 2 nights. It gets pretty tiring for everybody. And you'd like to especially find some time to stop at your destinations, the big destinations, and spend a few days. Okay, you'll want to decide how long you'll want to stay at those places. So your big places, you might say, let's stay 4 or 5 nights. We always like to stay at least 4 nights, if not more, in a particular location that had a lot of things that we'd want to do. Okay, you're also going to need to find out who's going, obviously. You want to get that count pretty early because you're going to be doing a lot of planning and making a lot of reservations. And so you're going to need to know how many are in your group and what kind of rigs they're driving. It's going to make a big difference when you all roll in to a park and you have to find a place, and especially if you're there for several days and you want to stay together and stay in a group. This means that you're going to have to do a lot of your planning about a year in advance, because campgrounds can be very difficult to get, especially when you're reserving space for 10 coaches. That can be pretty hard. Okay, you're going to want to create a travel page on Facebook. We do that, and it's just they call it a secret group or a travel group, and you can restrict membership to the people who are only the people going on your caravan. We use this as our main form of communication. We either take a group photo or we publish just a picture of one of the places we're going as our banner on the Facebook page. Everybody gets invited, and we ask everybody to please sign in to Facebook, and that way they can get notifications as soon as anybody puts anything out. People have ideas, they can share them. It's just a great thing to use, not only for the planning, but while you're on the trip as well. This will be the main focal point of communication for the group. Okay, you want to begin planning the route next, and you want to probably use a good tool. I use RV Trip Wizard. It's one of my favorites. Say it all the time on Facebook groups and everywhere else. And I think it's very worthwhile paying the yearly subscription to get RV Trip Wizard. I also have a video on how to use that. RV Trip Wizard will let you plan the major stops and then go in and fill in the campgrounds. And what you want to do is get everybody in your group who wants to have copies of the itinerary and share all the features that Trip Wizard has to offer. Get them to subscribe if they will, and that way you can get their email addresses they used to register RV Trip Wizard, and you can share your trip with them anytime you want. You can share your itinerary, you can share all your stops, and you can share all kinds of information about the trip very, very quickly. With Trip Wizard, everybody gets it. Okay, you want to decide how much time you want to drive every day along the way. If it's going to take you 5 days to get to one of your major destinations, you want to decide if you want to drive 5 days of 4 hours a day driving. You may want to decide do you want to do one night stays along the way. If you're going to do a one-night stay, maybe a full hookup's not so important one of those nights. But you need to plan your route, and you need to start looking at what campgrounds are along the route, and you need to start thinking about how much time you want to spend. Do you want to go 5 one-nighters in a row, or do you want to break it up? 1 night, then 2 nights, then 1 night, then 3 nights, and kind of break it up a little bit. You still have to try to fit in your major stops. That's pretty important. You want to prepare a shared Google Doc spreadsheet. Now, I do this because it's an easy way to track all the reservations of everyone that's going with you on the trip. And again, there's another video on that. Look for that on the channel here, and you'll see how to set that up. Once you have the final list of travelers, you're going to put them in the travel spreadsheet. And they're going to be along the top. Campgrounds are going to be on the left, along with the campground information, like campground phone numbers and anything else about the campground. That way, if you ask everyone to make their own reservations, they can go into this shared document and they can put their reservation numbers, and you'll very quickly be able to see, very easily, when everyone has made their reservations. You want to give all travelers read-write access to the spreadsheet. That way they can go in and do that, and we'll show you how in the other video. You want to announce the reservation spreadsheet and everything else on the Facebook page. This is pretty important because that way everybody gets to be involved, and they get to go in and share the spreadsheet, and they get all their announcements, as we said earlier, on the Facebook page. If you can, you want to divvy up responsibilities. This really helps everybody be involved. You might give one person a group of campgrounds that you want them to go investigate, and what happens is they call them up and say, hey, we want to bring in 10 coaches. We have all these links, and here's the names of the people. Do you have room for us? And they go, certainly, have them call us. Then that person who's responsible for those campgrounds goes out to the Facebook page and says, hey, okay, everybody, it's time for you to go call KOA in Nashville and tell them that you're with our party and make your reservation and pay. And when you do, go make an entry in the spreadsheet. And everybody gets used to this, and they become involved, and they're responsible for their own reservations, and they're responsible to pay for their own campgrounds. That's a pretty important piece. As activities are planned, you want to add them to a new tab in the spreadsheet. This will be a separate tab from the one that has the reservations, and it's going to have all the activities you're going to do in an individual stop. This means everybody has one place to go to get their reservations and their activities. And it's really nice, really handy, and you can always reference it from the Facebook page as well. When you feel comfortable that all the campgrounds are reserved and won't be a problem, what you can do is have each traveler that's going get a copy of the RV Trip Wizard itinerary. That way they have a final copy of it, even if they get it in PDF format, and they have something they can carry with them that shows the dates and all the information they need. When all the campgrounds have been reserved, go on the Facebook page and say, "We're ready to go." Everybody's good. Until the trip begins, periodically announce tips on the Facebook page. It's a good thing to keep everybody involved and to keep things moving as you're planning the trip. For some general tips, make sure everybody's got a good GPS. Not what Trip Wizard says, but their own GPS. You want to be able to do this so everybody feels comfortable that their RV is going to be able to get where they're going. Seasoned RVers will already have their own, but some people may not. You want to advise everyone that trip planning will be a lot easier if they have Facebook and Google accounts. This lets them have the Facebook page and the Google spreadsheet we talked about. If people have RV Trip Wizard, you'll need their email address so that you can send them copies of the register. It's fun for us to have FRS radios. Sometimes when we're traveling in our caravan, we like to talk to each other on the radios, and it's a lot of fun. We do this and we use them a lot. On travel days, it's probably easier to stagger your departures into smaller groups. If you have 10 people, maybe 4 go, then 3 go, then 3 more go. Because that way, if you pull up at a fuel stop, you don't have 10 coaches pulling into a pilot at the same time. And certainly when you get to your destination, you don't have 10 coaches lined up outside the park in a small place, perhaps, waiting to get in and check into your park. During the trip, keep using the Facebook page. Use it to communicate. Use it to say, hey, we're going to do this in a couple of days. Hey, who wants to go to this restaurant Tuesday night? It's just a good way to track who's doing what. As an extra thing to do, consider getting a shared Google Calendar. Now, this is like the document spreadsheet, but if you get a shared Google Calendar, you can go in and fill in all of the places you're going to be staying and show them as all-day events and show your sleep nights. If you're going to be at a campground July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and leave on the 4th, you'll show that campground for the 1st through the 3rd. And then what you do is you fill in your entire itinerary there and share the calendar. This lets everybody be able to pull out their calendar very quickly and see where they're going to be at any time on the trip, and they can share that with their own friends. Those are the tips. I tried to cover as much as I could in a short amount of time as possible. You've seen some of the notes pop up, and be sure to go take a look at that spreadsheet to give you an idea of how you can keep track of these reservations and activities. Till next time, see you later.